Welcome to Health Options. I am Rabi, Abdallah. The recent ongoing outbreak of Lassa fever in Nigeria, figures from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control indicate that not less than 30 people have so far died, including 2 doctors and a pregnant woman, across 15 states comprising Abia, Bauchi, Borno, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Enugu, Kaduna, Kogi, Ogun, Ondo, Plateau, Rivers and Taraba have been affected in the current Lassa fever scourge, with Ondo State recording the highest number of deaths, put at 16. Lassa fever is a viral hemorrhagic disease caused by the Lassa fever virus, which is endemic in Nigeria and other parts of Africa. This acute viral illness, discovered in Nigeria in 1969, that was 51 years ago, has caused immense devastation to families, including healthcare professionals. Rodents, particularly rats, are the natural reservoir of the Lassa fever virus, and transmission primarily occurring through contact with its excreta, blood and other fluid of the rat, as well as consumption of contaminated food items. Spread of Lassa fever is through direct or indirect contact with the body fluid of infected individuals. Symptoms of Lassa fever include fever, headache, cough, sore throat, and redness of the eyes, just to mention but a few. As we discuss health security on this week's episode of Health Options, we take a look at what needs to be done to contain the ongoing Lassa fever outbreak in the country, as well as the threat of the importation of the coronavirus that emanated from China but has spread to other countries, with increasing cases and death toll. Thanks for joining us on the program. You are watching Health Options on the NTA. The topic is health security in view of the resurgence of Lassa fever in the country and the threat of importation of the coronavirus. And with me in the studio to take us through the discussion is Dr. Henry Ewononu, Chairman, National Committee on Advocacy, Monitoring and Evaluation, Nigerian Medical Association. Welcome to Health Options, Dr. Ewononu.
My pleasure.
Yeah, if you ask me, this is not really the best of time for us. That we have to deal with the resurgence of Lassa fever, and yet faced with the threat of the importation of the coronavirus. Let's start with the immediate one that's right here before us, talking about Lassa fever. Lassa fever has become like a norm to us, year in, year out. For a disease that the first made its appearance in 1969, that is 51 years ago. Why have we not found a way around it?
Thank you for inviting me. I will start by commiserating with members of families of health care workers especially, and other Nigerians who have died since the escalation of this deadly disease. As you rightly said, this year is 50 plus 1 years. Why I'm putting it this way is because last year, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control held a workshop to mark 50 years, the golden jubilee of Lassa fever in Nigeria. And the sub-theme of that event was, what have we learned? So, Lassa fever is not just surging, it's just an escalation of an ongoing, call it a smoldering epidemic infection going on. But as we all know, this escalation occurs in the dry season. Yes. So we have not learned when to start preparedness. Preparation for prosecuting a war starts before, where you have to get the men, the materials, the other logistics, and of course the strategy. So that almost on a yearly basis now, this illness keeps on catching us napping. Shows that it's either we are not learning fast enough or what we are doing is not good enough. I have not said people are doing nothing, but that we keep on having this to embarrassing levels. We are not the only third world country of the nation. We are not the only poor nation of the world. So why is this disease becoming endemic? Why are we going to be defined by Lassa fever on the World Health Map? So if Nigeria, you remember Lassa fever. That's not good enough. Whatever we are doing, what is happening shows we have not done well enough.
Okay. There are so many factors that, come into play when it comes to this deadly virus. Environmental sanitation,
yes,
personal hygiene, and all of that. And if you ask me, in terms of our own behavior and our attitude towards cleanliness, because if we're talking about, intervention, or we're not doing what we should do, or we've been doing but not doing enough, where do you think the gaps lie?
Everybody will share in this blame, beginning with individuals. Our hygiene practices, our family levels, our community level, then the whole of society. Individuals, you notice how dirty some of us are. Lassa fever, whatever fever, because they are infectious diseases, that means there is a cycle where they enter the individual. From there, the germ will cross to...
That's the virus.
Yes, the virus in this case will now cross to another location that is a temporary reservoir or a vector that it does not harm. From there again, or cross to another human being. From the vector, that germ, this virus in this, will now reinfect either human, or taken to another place. So this cycle, looking at it, can it be interrupted? What can we do to interrupt it?
What can we do?
Yes, I'm coming to it. That is why I'm talking of what individuals can do.
Yes.
You now see people cough, sneeze into their palms, rub it, put in their pocket, and shake the next person. Even common flu, up to a quarter, will get common flu from that.
Those are the things we're not doing right.
That is the thing we are not doing. Then hand washing. It may sound funny if I say we don't know how to wash our hands. Majority of us don't know how to wash our hands. The best way to wash our hands is through using running water. It's not just to dip our hand into water and then somebody wants to eat and the thing is to dip hand into water and do like this. Only one of the palms. Hand has to be washed in, out, in between the fingers, under the nail beds. That is how hands they game with water. I mean water and soap, not just with water. How long will it take to really wash hand? You need to spend at least 2 minutes, because hand washing has been demonstrated to be one single very effective public health intervention that will reduce infectious diseases by up to 70%. Even with our modernism, you remove food from the freezer, you are in a hurry, you don't warm it well. Oh, you are taking extra bacterial load because this frozen food, especially the ones that contain animal protein, has been converted to, call it, another environment for germs to multiply.
In its frozen form?
Yeah, that's what even in the frozen, we don't get it frozen, fine. Refrigerated, worse. Better frozen than refrigerated. But you need to warm it again and warm it very well. Even in this day of age and time, some people still regard rat meat as delicacy.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I have not eaten rat meat before, but I don't think rat meat is worth dying for if it has been identified to have link with this type of illness that has potential of killing people fast and in great numbers.
Some people are not used to the handkerchief culture. They are not even used to sneezing and covering their... So the alternative from what I gathered is that you can cough into, to your elbow or something.
Yes, bend your arm.
Yes.
At the elbow, you cough in there while facing away from others.
Okay.
As if you do that facing others, part of the particles from the respiratory system have become aerosolized. What it means, they have become into a gaseous form. and the wind can make them move fast. Of course, that's why some of these illnesses, airborne diseases, are occur more during dry seasons because the air is light. Harmattan wind drives them to distant places. Exactly. Then they settle in the dust and the wind blows up the dust.
Okay.
Coughing, then with tissue. The handkerchief culture. Coughing is even better than handkerchief culture that one is not washing and washing well. Many people use one handkerchief for 1 week. You use tissue, you put back in your pocket. You put in your handbag. I see ladies that you do use the tissue, put back in their handbag.
People are guilty of that.
There are many things. What of our phones? We don't wash our phones. How many people remember to scrub their phones, even with soapy water? Or the various alcohol scrubs we have. We don't wash our phones. We use our phones when we have kata. We use our phones to enter the hospital. We use our phone when we are caring for sick people. We use our phone, we touch the dead. Our pattern of mourning is to demonstrate that you are so pained that you go and grab a dead body, you don't know the cause of death.
So this is the attitudinal component of what fueled the spread of diseases and what have you amongst us here. Is getting a vaccine such a difficult thing to do? We have NIMA, we have the experts, we have the capacity. Why do you think government, is it government or we as a people who is not looking at in the way of vaccine?
Yeah, I will come from two sides. Look at the role of government. Okay. As government, those who were elected, who occupy offices, then the role of public institutions funded by government. We are at war, whether we like it or not. Presently, Nigeria is at war, trying to defeat Lassa fever and to prevent coronavirus from entering our borders. The two ministers, then the commissioners of health, local government chairmen, health secretaries at various levels. Even most of the time, we tend to over-concentrate on the federal government. Yes. What are the states doing? Definitely. What is the capacity of the states? If Ebola entered Nigeria through another state, perhaps the story would have been different. Because Lagos has built a system, strengthened it, and sustained the strengthening of the health system. They were able to get a force.
So Lassa fever is what we're...
Lassa fever, you see the sporadic approach. Another thing government can do, there needs to be synergy. Local government, because local government has a serious role. Sanitation, hygiene, control of markets, even with primary health care.
Even public education.
Public enlightenment, using culturally acceptable means. In my village, there are still town criers. If that type of response we have seen with polio, we want to see it with Lassa fever, where even non-governmental organizations will come in, where the traditional institution will come in, where the religious bodies will come in to say, look, we cannot wait to be embarrassed by this. Enough is enough. So here in Nigeria, statistics don't mean anything. In Nigeria, when we say we have declared war on this, it means nothing.
What about looking at the way of research?
That's where I'm coming again. That's where I'm coming with public health institutions. Funding, the issue of research. One is basic organization, understanding mandates, clear mandates, capacity. Do we really have capacity for research? A lot has happened between when the white man left and now. You can imagine.
Capacity? Are you talking about the experts?
I am coming, yes. In Nigeria today, you may have up to more than how many 500 professors of microbiology in the various universities. We are talking of an aspect of microbiology, virology, study of viruses. So, what this has meant is that since 1969, there is no faculty, there's no department of microbiology or virology in Nigeria that's dedicated themselves towards research in Lassa fever.
None.
That's what it has meant, what we are seeing now. Then funding for research. Government is not doing enough in this regard. Organizations, the organized private sector, individuals, there are no endowments. They are not there. Most researchers in Nigeria fund their researches from their pockets. The grants are not forthcoming.
So we should start doing things.
Yes, we should. Yes, because if we want, the research is peering into something, trying to understand what is this. Let me make this statement. The immediate past Minister of Health, Professor Dewule, with this Lassa fever in 2016, said the pattern is a bit different from what we used to know. Before, there used to be contiguity in the areas affected. Now you see one in Borno, the next day you see another one. So it means that something is happening to this virus.
You know, in those days, we had the health inspectors, the ones we refer to as environmental health officers now. Do you think they are doing enough based on their mandate?
They are not many.
The markets are filthy.
Yes.
You know, so many places that, you know, are they really doing enough?
To answer this, I will still go back to government to awaken a national consciousness where we'll have multi-sectoral collaboration and cooperation. People at different levels to play their own roles. For instance, you mentioned the market. We have the market associations. They can come together to say, in Gariki market, in Wuse market, Operation Zero Tolerance to Rats, presence of rats. We don't want to see rats. People living in Area 1 can say, look, we will use this Saturday to kill all the rats in Area 1. How do we do this? Then environmental health officers, we need to train more. We need to employ them. They are not getting employment. They are not being employed. They are not playing their roles. They are not visiting homes. They are not playing that role. So, all said and done, we need this whole of government approach. Where there will be collaboration, government at all levels. We need the whole of society approach. Public, private cooperation. Then we need health in all programs. Ministers of Agriculture, institutions in agriculture need to go again. If we say these people don't eat rat, what will be their source of animal protein?
The alternative to rat.
If they say they are not washing their vegetables well, look at food safety. Information, dissemination, public awareness, NOA. Everybody has to come. Even the pastors have to come. Devote part of the time for the sermon towards public enlightenment. Because the demon that causes this type of illness is now known as Lassa fever, and we now know how to exercise this demon by improved hygiene.
Let's quickly touch on the ravaging coronavirus before we go. It has found its way to our neighboring Côte d'Ivoire, the West African sub-region, which means it's just not far away from us. What does that portend? What should our anxiety heighten? The
unfortunate reality is that it can also come here. Because we have been told the world is a global village, not because of internet access and the ease of communication.
What should we do? How should we
port health services, strengthen port health services, those things we did in the days of Ebola. No matter how inconveniencing it may appear to people, let us start them again. If the equipment, the thermal detectors are not working, this is the time to via funds from wherever, because nobody understands the biology of coronavirus. They said it can infect people even before the symptoms appear. That means normal looking people, asymptomatic individuals can be carrying and be infecting people. So please, is to at the guard posts, let us make sure it doesn't step in.
And public enlightenment, like you said.
We need all this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Henry Unono, for coming on Health Options.
Thank you.
It will interest you to know that the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, and his counterpart in the Federal Ministry of Environment, Muhammad Mahmoud Abubakar, have been speaking to Nigerians on the right actions and practices.
Considering the possibility of importation of the coronavirus to Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Health is working with relevant ministries and agencies to strengthen surveillance, preparedness, and response to public health emergencies at our various points of entry. There is high-level interministerial consultation towards setting up a multi-sectoral committee to scale up surveillance and vigilance to detect suspicious cases and ensure containment at all points, bearing in mind that air travelers, rather than land border crossers, are more likely carriers of this type of virus. Attention will focus largely on our 5 international airports. The Port Health Services of the Federal Ministry of Health is the responsible public health authority at international points of entry, which are airports, seaports, and land borders. The Port Health Service is currently implementing measures at these points to forestall importation of the coronavirus to Nigeria. As the events unfold, we can see that the risk of importation is present for all countries. However, the ministry wishes to assure Nigerians of the capacity to detect, assess, and respond to these and other public health threats. In addition to Port Health Services, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has set up a coronavirus preparedness group and is ready to activate its incident command system for coronavirus if a suspect case emerges in Nigeria. We have also sent medical commodities and personal protective equipment to the states and particularly to Lassa fever treatment centers. We have intensified the risk communication activities across the states. As part of our response activities, Nigeria Center for Disease Control activated the National Emergency Operations Center. It is an interdisciplinary technical working group for Lassa fever, and they have the mandate to ensure well-coordinated response, case management, and swift control of Lassa fever outbreaks. Further information regarding Lassa fever can be obtained from the following numbers: 0809 955 5577.
The sanitation desks are to be replicated in all the 774 local governments in the country. Massive awareness campaign on the need to keep the environment clean. Environmental health surveillance of premises to identify rodent harborage, destroy, eradicate rodent homes, commercial and industrial premises. Effective pest and vector control services in residential and commercial premises, notably deratization of marketplaces and homes. Development of sanitary means and facilities for drying of food, cereals, legumes, and tuber to ward off the invasion of rodents.
That does it on this episode of Health Options. Remember, basic hygiene practices such as washing of hands with soap and water, environmental sanitation, and general cleanliness habits can protect you and your loved ones from contracting diseases in so many ways. You can go to our YouTube channel for the upload of these and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. My name is Rabi, Abdallah. Thanks for watching. Hope to come your way again. Bye for now.